Every day a woman reigns. It's time to live your dreams. Nothing's gonna stop you now. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Every day a woman reigns. Every day a woman reigns.
Welcome to our Style with Trysh. Of course, we are representing Swag Her magazine. We want to thank them so much for allowing us to bring our platform, share our platforms here on the Style with Trysh / Swag Her partnership, if you will. But I'm so excited about our guest today. I know him, met him through a very, very, very long time friend who know I don't play. So his referral came highly approved. None other than our guest today, none other than I always call him Chef, but Chef Clarence J. Johnson. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us, Chef J. I can't hear you. I think you muted. Let me see.
Well,
there you go. There you go.
I am here. I said, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. We are excited to be here, hanging out with Style with Trysh and Swag Her magazine. So it's, we ready.
Yes, we are ready. This has been somewhat a little bit of a time coming. We missed the Thanksgiving from what we're going to get to later on, but we said You're doing it for Christmas, so we're going to bring you on and share with the people what it is that you're doing. Give us a little bit of background. I shared in our post that I love the transition that you've gone from military to culinary world, but is it that cutthroat? I mean, not the cutthroat, but was the transition that easy? And just share a little bit of your background with the military and how you entered into the culinary world.
Well, I spent a number of years on active duty in the United States Army. I retired from that. The entire time I was in the military, I was food service. So had a couple other little jobs here and there, but food service was my mainstay for the military. Mm-hmm. And so food was something that I was introduced to that I enjoyed doing the entire time. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I had a number of sisters, so having to cook wasn't something that I had to do. But, going into the military, it was either wait to go in and do what I wanted to do or go in as a cook. And I said, well, mm-hmm. I'll try it, and actually ended up liking it. So I made a career of it, retired out. And I said, once I get out, this is going to be my passion. You do your passion and your purpose, and then you do what pays you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you have to go that route to do what pays you. And it could be a garbage man, or electrician, or whatever it is. And it doesn't always allude to our passion, our purpose. But this allowed me to pursue my passion and my purpose. So once I retired, I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to go to culinary school to just better my craft. I already knew what I was doing, but I just wanted to learn how I was going to actually get paid more in this arena. Yeah, I wanted to perfect it. So it was about, let me go to school and learn the terminology that's going to make the bucks go up. And not knowing that it was going to be a little bit more work. So the transition from the military to the actual culinary field itself on the civilian side, it wasn't that much of a difference. Instead of not having to get up every morning at 4 or 5 o'clock and go run 5 or 6 miles or do 200 push-ups and be on your feet all day long, but the demand of being in the kitchen. And the funny thing about it is, in the culinary world, we practice the brigade system, which is kind of along the same lines of what we practice in the military, what we do in the military. There's a chain of command that you follow, and you have that executive chef, and then you have the ones that follow suit underneath that. So it's just pretty much the same thing in the military. So being able to see it, the transition wasn't hard for me. You get in the kitchen and you shut up and you do what you're told. Same thing you do in the military. So that part I had down pretty good. And once they give you a recipe, you follow it. That part I had down good. You know, you follow your orders, and you burn enough stuff, you'll get yelled at enough, and then you'll learn that it's expensive to pay for all this stuff that you burn. So you'll learn what you're doing pretty quickly because you get tired of paying for all your mistakes.
Right. And I can see where you're talking about the structure from the two worlds wasn't so different.
Right.
Now, where are you originally from, and how long did you serve in our? Thank you for your service as well. How long did you serve us in this country as well?
Oh, 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it was career.
Yeah.
And you're originally from? Where are you originally from?
Originally from Queens, New York.
Oh, okay.
I reared in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
And, from there, that's where my military trek went to college in Florida, and decided that the military was going to be the route. The majority of my family is law enforcement and military, so it was a no-brainer for me to pick one of those routes. So kind of took that path and didn't look back. Pretty much like everybody else did.
Yeah, your story sounds a little bit like my best friend. They're Jamaican. She's second generation Jamaican, but they came from New York to Fort Lauderdale, and that's how I became familiar with that part of the country, was through her. So I love what you're saying, where you talked about the transition wasn't that much different because that was part of what you did in the military. What made you fall in love with that in the military to the point where you desired to do that? This is it. This is what I want to do. What is it about feeding us, which we love when you feed us, but what is it for you from your perspective that made you say, you know what, this is it?
Well, I'll tell you. Once I got in the military and started cooking, again, I had no clue of what I was doing when I got in the military and was cooking. I knew how to scramble eggs. I knew how to make pancakes, but it started when I was younger. I didn't know that I was setting myself up for this. I was always doing little stuff, like I would make cakes out of flour at home just because I was hungry and didn't know what I was doing. And I was feeding my friends, and they was like, "Man, you always making those cakes," and da 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 da. I was like, "I'm telling you, one day it's gonna pay off." And I got to the military, and I was messing everything up. I didn't have a clue on what I was doing, and I had a leader. Her name was Sergeant Banks. I'd never forget her day in my life. And she came to me and she was like, "Jay, you burn one more thing in this kitchen. I promise you it's gonna be me and you." So ever since then, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this right. So she started me out. She said, "Okay, I know you got the passion for it. I could tell because you get upset when you mess it up. So I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna personally teach you step by step." So she took me under her wing, and she kind of taught me from how to make sauces, how to make soup, how to make gravy, how to make potato salad, how to make the small things that you don't really consider precision cooking. But she kind of taught me those things step by step. And as I perfected those things, I progressed. And the more I progressed, I took a knack to making sure not only that I was doing the right thing, but I was teaching others the things that I was learning, and then also correcting them. So she stood back and she watched, and she said, "You know what? From here, you got it. Take the principles and apply them to every area that you're going to learn now moving forward." And I think that's what sparked in I started doing competitions and things like that in the military. Oh, wow. And I started winning. We had this thing called the Philippe Connolly. It's a pretty large cooking competition that the military puts on, whether you do it in your dining facility or whether you do it out in the field. So I was able to be a part of that for a few teams, and we actually won. And the prize for that was for us to be able to go out to Las Vegas and train at a couple of the hotels out there. And being out at those hotels, I started to run into people that looked like us.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, this is, you never saw that, you saw, other faces and things like that. We were the ones that were waiting tables and opening doors and kind of in the back doing some of the cooking. But we weren't the ones that were calling the shots, that was walking around ensuring that everybody was doing the right thing. So I ran into a couple of chefs that, like I said, looked like us, and they said, "Hey, you can do this. You have the skill set. Once you're done with your military service, you should pursue this." And I was like, "I will. I will." And time went on. As I grew in rank in the military, I never left that teaching principle or being taught principle. So when it was time to retire, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to get out of here and go to culinary school," I am gonna, I'm gonna take those same principles with me. So going to culinary school, it kind of started from the beginning for me. But once I got there, the instructors and everybody that was a part of it, they saw like, hey, this guy, he knows something, and he's not saying, because I was pretty humble with it. I didn't want to come in and make people knew I knew exactly what was going on. I just didn't know the French terminology, but I knew everything that they were doing. I just didn't know the why. So going through culinary school and learning the why, it just deepened again that passion. It does something to me to feed people, to see someone take a bite of something that I make and just kind of close their eyes and savor the moment. It's just one of those things that you like, man, you're affecting change in somebody, and you don't even know the depth of happiness that you bring to that person. Food is something that settles arguments and changes lives and settle wars and things of that nature. All that kind of stuff is settled at the dinner table. So to be able to make a good meal and to make something that people enjoy, that does my heart proud.
Yeah, I see that. Food is a lot of people's love language. It really is. I know it's mine, and it's several of us, that it's a love language. We tend to put a lot of weight into eating and probably too much sometimes, but eating and making sure what we eat is good, tastes good to our palate. And so I totally get that. But one thing I'm surprised about is that the military doesn't, other than her taking you under the wing, the military doesn't give any type of culinary or similar culinary. Not to say that our military should be fed the best, but it just seems like they would give some type of culinary teaching outside of her mentoring you during your time of service. That doesn't happen.
Well, yeah.
Or is it
Well,
basic?
when you go to the military, of course you go to basic training to basically teach you how to become a soldier. Teaches you how to soldier one-on-one, because you have your specialties that you do. So above anything, you're a soldier. If war broke out, anything like that, you have to pick up a machine gun, and you got to go. So that's first and foremost. Then after that, you go to your individual specialty school. Mine happened to be my AIT at Fort Lee, Virginia, which was 92 Golf, which is food service specialist. So you go there and you learn all of the beginning stages of how to become a cook. They teach you the basic necessities of being able to operate in the kitchen. You learn not to burn yourself. You learn how to make eggs. You learn how to, make pancakes and things like that. But, they give you just enough to go to a dining facility and get told to get out of the way, because you're a newbie and you don't know at all what you're doing. The best thing that happened to me was that I was sent to a very high volume duty station on my first tour. I was sent out to California, and the National Training Center in California is in Barstow. That's one of the largest training bases outside of Fort Hood, Texas, that the military has to offer. So our head count in our dining facility topped like 1,000 to 1,200 meals at a time. So you got to learn pretty quickly. And when you're standing there on the grill and you're brand new, and you got 300 soldiers standing in line looking at you, you don't got time to get it wrong.
Right.
So, you gotta, you gotta, but it also teaches you speed, repetition, and consistency. You're going to be consistently bad for the first 20, 30 minutes, because you're going to be nervous. You're going to be scared. You're going to break the yolk on the eggs, and you're going to just destroy it. But after you calm down, and after, people start to come through the line and say, hey, it's okay, I'll take it anyway, you'll get it tomorrow, that type of stuff. And then the familiarity of them coming through the line every day, you start building that consistency and that confidence in yourself to say, you know what, I can get this right. I can make this omelet correct. You start to remember what people want, and when they come in, you already have what they're looking for ready for them. So you start to get a little, all right, I got this. You can pat yourself on the back a little bit and spread your wings some, and then they order something different. You're like, oh man, so you got to start that over. But it teaches you to kind of humble yourself and just take it as it comes day by day. But so it does prepare you. The military does prepare you, and now they have realized how big the culinary world is to the society. So they've changed majorly the approach to food service. Now they're called culinary specialists because they are taking the route of donning chef coats and having chef instructors come in and teach from a high-end culinary perspective. And we're tackling nutrition and health and weight management. All those things like that are really being looked after in the military because, you got to have these, young ladies and young men to be able to run, jump, and play all day long. Right. So to be able to have their strength and put the necessary things in their body as opposed to just shoveling food down. Now it has to be the right thing because we're running into so many diseases and all types of things like that. So if we can feed you appropriately and combat some of those things with the knowledge that we're giving you, then we're doing you a service as opposed to just giving you a disservice.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. That's a great thing. And it's a great thing to know. It sounds like they give you the basics. And then once you leave, that's where you find that you have the need to be refined. And so that's the need for going to culinary school. So speaking of, what school did you go to, and what was that experience like for you? Did you go directly out of military? Did you have a pause?
No, I had a pause. Once I got out of the military, I got out, just like every other soldier, you get out and you say, man, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna woosah a minute. And again, you get into that, you follow your purpose and your passion, and then you're gonna do what pays you. So I started kind of doing the thing that was paying me, and it was paying me well. I started doing cable and coaching and all of these things that was just paying me, but it wasn't purposing me, if that makes sense.
You find your way.
Yeah, it wasn't giving me the things that I knew that I wanted to do on the inside. So it was a very brief pause that I took because I said, I'm going to do what I set out to do. I was just taking a break and being lazy. If I'm just going to be real about it, I was just being lazy. So finally, I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go to culinary school, and I graduated from the Cordon Bleu here in Tucker. Okay. And
we're in Georgia. For those that are not in Georgia, Tucker's in Georgia.
From there, I had the opportunity to travel abroad and study a bit over there, and the experience was amazing. To be able to learn from, again, chefs that look like you and I, and see that they took it as serious as it was supposed to be, and they were thriving. And to surround myself with students that look like me, that look like you, men and women going in there with the same mind to educate themselves in the world of culinary and be the best chefs that they can become. Everybody go to culinary school, swear they're a chef, but you come to find pretty quick that you're just a chef in training. You can have some skills, but there's a lot to it that you need to learn to really, really hone your craft and to be better.
What is all of that about? Because my daughter has turned me on to all of the chef shows, competitions on Food Network and all that kind of stuff. And that just seems to be a particular area where people are so arrogant. Where does that come from? What is that?
I can say that that is true. Chefs are some of the most arrogant people. Say them, but we have a tendency to have an air about ourselves because you know, we're in one of those professions where we're good and we know it. But sometimes we take that a step too far.
Yeah.
Some of us, some of us forget that we're from those humble beginnings. And like, you know, myself, I never considered myself one of those that were too good to eat out or too good to, you know, eat certain things or eat this or eat that. You know, I grew up in a house with a mother and sisters, and we ate whatever we ate.
What you could
And
get, yes.
yeah, and you know, my mom would come home and she would make whatever she was going to make, and that was it. And as I grew in my culinary strength and my culinary knowledge, none of that never left. So that arrogance, and that being pompous and poking out my chest and all that kind of stuff, it just never was a part of who I was. You know, sometimes you would want to, you know, stand proud and be confident. That's one thing, but to be arrogant about what you're doing, you know, I'm never the one that's too big to go to McDonald's or go to Golden Corral. Or, you know, I'm a soldier at heart, so I still remember eating MREs and things of that nature. So common food never left my palate.
Right.
Even though I have a taste for the finer things, and I enjoy upscale dining and things of that nature. I can appreciate it very much. But when you look in the eyes of those that are delivering the food, and you see that they have to go out and get into that used beat up Toyota and getting on the bus and, you know, riding the MARTA in the rain, and that hunger and that humbleness, it brings you back to a place to say, you know what, I remember those days. And, you know, for me, none of that has never left. So I'm still that little boy that sit at the dinner table and eat the liver and onions and the smothered chicken and rice and the you know, and the fish and grits. And that's so now, you know, we're taught to make it differently and put this on it and put that on
Right.
it. But you can just put it on the plate for me and I'm gonna eat it and enjoy it, just because that's me. That's home.
Well, Mary Frazier, she said it best. She said, all of y'all feel like y'all the best. And that's the truth. But one thing I know, one thing that I can connect with chefs is that it's an artistry. Right. And a lot of artists feel like they're the best, whether they are artists, you know, painters or singers. I'm a singer songwriter as well. And so we do have that. It's a certain air. And I think I just never expected to see it in the culinary world. But when I think about it, it is an artistry. You're creating an art that people are actually eating. And so
you're still performing. You're still performing. When you put that coat on, you're going out to perform. You know, everyone wants to kiss the chef, want to meet the chef. You know, that type of thought process when you go to work and you go out in that dining room and you've put on a culinary display. Everybody wants to congratulate you and say how magnificent it was, and you have to kind of get up for that, and you put yourself in a mind frame that I got this, I'm the best. And sometimes, again, some of us take that a little too far, but some of us know how to harness that and put that into a place to say, you know what, that's going to be my motivation to make sure that I'm putting forth the best foot, and I'm going to put the best effort forward, and I'm going to make sure that I give 110% in this performance, because somebody's watching that I'm inspiring. Somebody's watching that I can show that this comes easy and you can do this too if you follow this step, and this step.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's wonderful. So now let's talk about where you are now. We have on the show, I always like to ask, why do you name your business what you name it? Because our business, as far as I'm concerned, my business is my baby. Style with Trysh is sort of a basic name, but the title of my business is Jan's Joy Ministries, which Jan is my mother. And it was always my desire to allow her to see me walk out my purpose. And so I named my overall, what I do, Jan's Joy. And but Style with Trysh is an entity of that, because as I shared earlier, I'm a singer-songwriter as well. And I like dibble and dabble. I'm gonna write a book too. Y'all just wait.
Okay.
Dibble and dabble in different things. But why Dare to Dream? Why did you choose that as a title of your business, of your baby, of one of your babies?
Yeah, well, Dare to Dream, actually, it's funny. It's a funny story. My sister thought of that name, actually. That was something that she had come up with while I was in the military. She had actually started doing event planning, and she said, I want to come up with something that, how can people live out their dreams, and how can they make what happens, how can we make what they think happen? So we dare them to dream big. We dare them to dream. We want them to not limit themselves.
Yes.
So we partnered and we did it. And that was way back in 2013. And that's kind of where that came from. She thought of it, and we did it. We put that dream together, and we've been daring the dream since then.
I love it. It's like people will say, "How dare you?" It's like, "How dare
Right.
you?" I mean, why not? You only have one life. Why not live out and dare to live your dreams? Why not? I share this real quick before we get into the nitty-gritty of the services that you offer. I share this several times on my show. I was going to see my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, at the gravesite because I was in college and I missed her funeral. So my other grandmother, my paternal grandmother, had passed. They were in the same town, and so I was able to come home for her funeral, but missed my maternal grandmother's funeral. So we're driving through the gravesite, and my mom she's talking out of her head. Now I know that now. I didn't know it then. But she says,
Right.
I wonder how many unlived dreams are lying out here in these graves.
Wow.
And for me, that was just
a powerful statement.
Oh my, she didn't even realize it. But for me, it was like, oh no, especially at 18, 19 years old. Oh no, I'm not leaving here without pursuing my dream. And I'm going to do whatever I can do. I don't care how far I get, because getting far and being on national TV and being on that's a cherry on the top. But we have to realize that as creatives and as business minded, as dreamers, that we have to live our dreams no matter what the platform is. And even if and I always say all the time, even if I'm not the next Oprah, hey, I had my talk show. I did it.
Right.
I may not be the next Beyonce or Whitney, but I wrote my music and I sung it and I recorded it. You know what I mean? And so that is where I love the dare to dream. How dare you dream? How dare I not dream? I only have one life. And once I'm in that grave, that's it. All my opportunities, all my chances are over. And so I love that name. I love it. I won't steal it, but I love it. So Dare to Dream has two entities. Yes. We have the profit and we have the nonprofit. We'll talk about the nonprofit here in a few minutes. Okay. And so some of the services that you offer, I'm a customer, of course, but I'm just going to throw some out there and you can expound on them. You're a personal chef.
Yes.
Which y'all know what that means. Date night, personal chef. Girls night out, personal chef. Any type of party, personal chef. Or if you just don't feel like cooking on Sunday, personal chef. And then you also do events. We're going to expound a little bit more on the meal prep, because that's where you serve me as a client on the meal prep. And then we're going to also dibble and dabble in classes. So break those down: personal chef, events, meal prep, classes. Break us down your services, please.
All right. So for the personal chef aspect, like you said, so many times we're not even going to go grand scale. We'll talk small. I just don't feel like doing it. Seriously, you start right there. I just don't feel like doing it. I work all day, every day. I got children at home. I got a husband. I got a wife at home. I just don't feel like doing it. You know what? Let me call Dare to Dream and see if I can get, some assistance. Or I want to do something special for my spouse. Just because it's Tuesday. Doesn't have to be an anniversary, doesn't have to be anything major, just because it's Tuesday. We want to have a personal touch. About 2 weeks ago, I got a call, and I had a couple that were celebrating their 5th year anniversary, and they had reached out to another service here in Atlanta, and they just basically couldn't do it. So they called me and they said, "Hey, we know it's last minute. Can you?" And I was like, "You know what? 5th year anniversary, I'm there. We're going to make it happen.
Wow.
Don't worry about it. We're going to make it happen." So we went in and we gave them the most amazing service that they can have. And we didn't know it, but we far exceeded the service that they had already paid for, just by the personal touch, the personal service, the personal chef, the private chef. When you hire someone, when you hire us to be that personal and private chef for you, we're giving you just that, the personal touches, the personal attention, the private attention, to be able to come into your home and give you great service, give you us at your dinner table. I'm going to give you the same service that you would pay for at a 5-star restaurant, right between your husband and your wife, your boyfriend and your girlfriend, you and your kids. You're going to do that. So that's what that personal chef touch is about. The meal services. I'll start with the events. The events, we put on events all the time. And in February, I'm having an event. Everybody had, during the pandemic, there was a big craze where people were doing the verses and things of that nature. So I created this thing called Culinary Verses. So myself and a few of my other fellow chefs, we kind of battled it out. Just same purpose. We kind of went head to head just for the culture of culinary. In this business, it's kind of cutthroat, and people don't celebrate each other. I'm trying to figure out how I can best you and how I can beat you out for your
arrogance.
Arrogance. So I said, you know what? We're gonna get together and we're gonna go round for round. We're gonna go dish for dish. We put out 6 amazing dishes. We put out 6 drinks to go with it, paired with those dishes, and then we put out 6 amazing desserts to go along with that. And the experience far outweighs the cost. But to me, it's not about the money. It's about the ability to showcase your talent. And, like you said, it's about that performance, to be able to get out there and say, you know what, I'm going to show the world just how great I am and how I can come into your home or come into your space and give it all the life that you wanted to have. So that's one of the events that we have. We do that. We do,
and you do weddings. You do all the weddings and all that.
Weddings, we do parties, we do all of those things, but we try to, every quarter, we try to do a highlight event. That way we really utilize that platform to be able to just celebrate something. In May, we do a dinner en blanc for our Mother's Day situation. So we do a big thing in May. That's our dinner in white. And then in October, we do something we call a blackout, where it's a whole, in May, all of our meals are white. Everything is white. The drinks are white. All the entrees are white. The desserts are white. Everything is geared towards that. And in October, we do a dinner. We do a dinner in black. It's called a blackout. Everything is brown. Everything is dark. So we try to do all of these types of events because not everybody wants to go to a club. Not every adult wants to hang out and bring back the good old days where we can go listen to music and we pull out the bands. We want everybody dressed to the nines, and you sit down and you get fed a first class meal from someone that looks like you and me.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I'm going to ask you about your aesthetic here when it comes to cooking here in a minute. Don't let me forget that question because
Gotcha.
I'll forget. But so let's move on to, because I want to get everything in and there's so much to talk about, but let's move on to your Dare to Dream telethon and dream and Dare to Dream. Instead of the D, it's a capital J. break that down for us and just kind of share what is that? What is the Dare to Dream telethon?
Okay, so well, you have two entities. You have D2D, which is Dare to Dream Culinary Consultants. That is our for-profit side. This is everything that we've talked about: the personal chef, the events, all of that kind of good stuff. Well, you know the old saying, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
So, on the other hand, I created a platform called Dare to Dream with a J. And of course, we get that from yours
Jay.
too. J, of course. So that's where that J comes from. People, you know, kind of see that I say, well, you know, that's pretty neat. You change the D to a J. And that's in my mind, that's the purpose and the passion piece. This part is the for-profit side is the purpose and passion. You know, I say that just to get it out the way, but the giving back is the true purpose and passion. You know, I've been teaching culinary for about 6 years now, and my target audience is the low income, the left behind, the lost, the least desirable. Those are the ones that we target because society has pretty much written them off and thrown them away and said, you know what, you're not fit to work for me. You're not, you know, you're not good enough. You're not educated. So I said, you know what, I want to create a environment where the ones that are left behind, the ones that nobody wants to deal with, I'm going to put you in a position to come get a post-secondary education, absolutely free. So we created Dream Builders Academy, where we do just that. We educate in the vocational space to where you can come to school and get gainful employment opportunities upon completion of gainful vocational training. You come to our academy and you do culinary. We'll be bringing CNA online. We have security. We have hospitality. Those pieces and those components make up D2J. And the other focus part of D2J is the outreach. You know, as much as we get coming in the door for the for-profit side, that's just as much and much more that goes out the door on the nonprofit side. You know, D2J is very, very active with ensuring that our community needs are met. And not only, and my favorite saying that I say all the time is, if I can't do anything for you, I can feed you.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be with food. I can feed you with wraparound services. I can feed you with the ability. I can feed you with the ability to connect you with services that are going to help point you in the right direction. So those are my heart's desires and my passions as it relate to people. I've always been a people's person, and I always try to make sure that if it's something that you need, I want to give it to you, something far beyond monetary value. I want to show you how to monetize this thing called culinary and how to be good at it. And then you can go and you don't owe me any money. Don't pay me anything. All I want you to do is give this to somebody else.
Yeah.
So once you give it to somebody else, then I've done my job. It's far more money in this city of Atlanta and the surrounding areas for one person. So and the one thing that I love about it, it allows me to meet people, and it allows me to make some very strong lifelong connections. I've had the pleasure of having probably over 400 or 500 students in my time of educating, and what it allowed me to do to help these students not only learn this art, but also create businesses for themselves. So one, I get to go eat on you for free, paying for nothing. Two, it allows me to, once I get other students that graduate, I can call you and say, hey, I got a young man, a young lady that needs a job, and they're gonna say, Chef, you got it, because you know they got the same education that you got, and they have the same principles and the same heart for for service that you've displayed. So it allows that pipeline to happen. You know, so we also deal with our reentry citizens from incarceration. That's a big population that I like to work with as well. I had a young man that came into my classroom. He went to prison when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
And he got mixed up in a bad robbery deal. And he went to prison when he was 16. He got out when he was 28. And he came to class and he was like, I want to do something different. I don't know how I'm gonna do with this cooking thing, but I was like, well, just I tell you what you do. Just give me a few weeks, give me 8 weeks, and we'll see where we at. And now he has his own business and he's doing his thing and he's thriving. And those are the types of things, success stories that we don't hear all the time. Because it's not popular to talk about a convict. It's not popular to discuss somebody that we left behind. It's not popular to talk about somebody that was considered lost. But now they turn the page and really doing it and giving back to people that are in the same situation as themselves. Those are not the stories that make it to front page of the AJC.
And I don't think it will, because, and that's why a lot of the, which is a smart way to go, those that are incarcerated have the option of learning a trade. They'll throw them a trade before they throw them a degree. And I say that because you might want to you might feel some kind of way on one side of it, but then on the other side of it, a trade is teaching you how to be an entrepreneur. A degree sometimes is going to be solely focused on going out working for somebody, and who will turn you down for jobs more than corporate America, with that, even with the degree. And so I think that's a great thing, that they are being taught. And if that's their area, and they can find their place in that particular, because, we usually hear of those returning from the penal system with being barbers or tattoo artists, or now we're learning here more recently, the culinary world. Well, we welcome them in because those particular fields, they have the opportunity, like you said, to create their own and have their own. And sometimes that's probably what was the cause to put them in the situation to begin with, because we already know so many CEOs and so many COOs and creative minds who could have been over conglomerates with the intelligence they had, but they were not given the opportunity in society to be able to acquire and accomplish that. So I love that about what you're doing. I want to talk about, break down what Dare to Dream with the J is, and then I want to circle back to your meal plan, because before we came on air, we had a very interesting conversation about those meal plans, and I want to get that in before we go off of air. But
okay,
break down what is the Deal to Dream with the J? What are we doing? How are we supporting you in that?
Well, Dare to Dream with the J. There's so many things that happen with Dare to Dream. So we talked about Dream Builders Academy, which is Dream Builders, Dream with a J. And as much as we are like I said before, we are the vocational arm, we're the outreach arm. And one of those outreach things that we do with D2J, I do something every year that I absolutely love, and it's called Operation Feed Atlanta. I started that in 2019. I was sitting in class one day, and I said, you know what do y'all think about going out feeding Atlanta, feeding the city? And it was like, Chef, what you talking about? I said, I think I just want to go out and feed people. That's what y'all think about that? And it was like, okay, whatever. We get a chance to put our skills to work. And I was like, yeah, because we're gonna do it from a culinary standpoint.
Yes.
Are y'all really wanting to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. So they were like, yeah. So we did it. In 2019, that launched Operation Feed Atlanta for me. And being military, it was a full-on military operation in my mind. We were waging war against mental illness and suicide and poverty and homelessness and hunger. Those were the things that we were targeting. We wanted to get out and really, really show the community that, hey, we're here. We see you. We see you with no shoes on. We see you with no clothes on. We see you hungry. We see you drunk. We see you talking to yourself. We see every aspect of the things that people don't want to see, we see you. And one, we're going to feed you. Two, we're going to feed you resource. Three, we're going to feed you clothing. Four, we're going to feed you a brand new hair. We're going to feed you with all the things that you need.
Yeah.
So we fed about 1,200-1,300 folks in 2019. And then COVID hit.
Yes.
Boom. March 2020. That was a time. And guess what? Operation Feed Atlanta still went on in November. And I looked at everybody in my class at that time and I said, hey, you know, the world shut down for a while. You know, we were experiencing COVID at its highest. And I said, hey, you know, if we're not going to do it this year, I understand. And it was like, Chef, why? And I was like, y'all really want to go do it? And they were like, Chef, why? So we went and we did it. I ordered all the masks and the hand sanitizer and the face shields and all of that good stuff, everything that you need. And we wore absolutely none of it. Absolutely none of it. You know, it was by the grace of God that none of us got COVID. All of us pretty much had COVID before that.
Yeah.
But none of us got COVID during that time. I mean, we went out to some of the most hard-hit areas in Atlanta, and we're knocking on doors, and we're hugging people and high-fiving and handshaking. And we're doing all of those things at the height of COVID because that's what we were supposed to do. Yeah. There were so many hungry people at that time in November 2020. I mean, we were right in the height of COVID. And everybody that was a part of Operation Feed Atlanta that year was near and dear to me because they didn't have to do it. Everybody that was a part of it could have been scared and said, you know what, Chef, you know, we love you, but we're not going to be able to. It made everybody want to do it even more. And we went and did it. And it was a success. We fed 3,400 and something people that year.
Wow.
2021, we partnered with another organization and we created something called Feed the 5,000. And our goal was to go out and feed 5,000 people. And we set that goal and we went out and we did it. We fed 5,000 people. So this year in 2022, I said, you know what, we got to up the ante.
Right.
You know, we gotta change the world one plate at a time.
Yeah.
So I doubled back down and we created what we call Feed the 5,000 plus 2. So our goal was to feed 7,000 people. Okay. And we will finish that goal up on the 17th, which is Saturday. We'll be downtown Atlanta and we're going to finish up that 7,000. We fed 4,000 plus already, and we're going to finish that up. And we're going to meet our goal of feeding 7,000 citizens in the city of Atlanta. Not only did we do something pretty cool of feeding people, we celebrated the heroes of Atlanta this year in the surrounding area. We fed law enforcement, military. We went to the fire stations,
nursing homes,
the nursing homes, the rehab centers. We went to Grady. We went to Emory. We went to everywhere that, you know, we can celebrate somebody and say, hey, look, you go out there and you do it every day and you lay it on the line every day for somebody. But who says thank you to you outside of appreciate it, you know, thank you, and walk away. But if we can say thank you, here's something to enjoy while you're sitting in that patrol car and on that shift, you know, it really, really touched me once we pulled up to these different police stations and firehouses, and they was just so appreciative because they could have just been eating, you know, whatever they came
normally eat, which is junk. Yeah.
You know, something on the go. But a lot of them took their time to sit down. Like I said, they were sitting in their patrol cars eating, sitting in the fire trucks eating, and they were enjoying because it was a traditionally cooked, culinary inspired Thanksgiving meal. And we ensured that we gave them quality. So, and that's what we're going to do this weekend while we're downtown Atlanta. So that's what Dare to Dream does.
How do we participate? How do those of us who some may not be in Atlanta, some may be in Atlanta, but how is it that we can be a part of what you're doing?
I'm glad you asked that question. So how do you participate? That is very, very easy. So if you are in Atlanta, we will be at the Mount Moriah Baptist Church, and I'll get that address put into the chat here momentarily. We'll be down there from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we'll be servicing servicing the citizens of Atlanta. But if you are not in Atlanta and you still want to participate, there are ways that you can do so. You can send in financial contributions because, as we know, putting on something like this doesn't just happen. It takes finance to move. So if you want to donate, you can donate to www.d2jinc.org. That's www.d2jinc.org. You can go on there and you can donate. What big or small, short or tall, whatever your financial donation, we will.
You says Dare to J?
No, it's actually D2JINC.org.
.com?
Yeah, .org.
.org.
So that's one of the other differences between the for-profit and the nonprofit.
Okay.
For-profits would always be a .com and nonprofits will be a .org. So, sometimes, and that's important too, because sometimes people, when they're soliciting donations and things like that, they'll solicit it to their for-profit, and it's not always the right thing to do. But just that degree of separation right there, it shows that, hey, this is going to this cause, and by all means, look at the website. And if you're here local and you have some time to donate your time, talent, and your efforts, come on out with us. That does a lot more. Money is great, but to be able to donate your time and donate your efforts to someone that's a little less fortunate than yourself. Sometimes we're all just a paycheck away from being in a situation.
Amen.
So if we can help someone with a hand up versus a hand out, we put them in a better position, in a better situation. So that's a way for everyone to get involved, whether it be by volunteering to come out this Saturday to give us a hand. Just if you're going to help serve, you can help hand out clothing, gloves, just to say, hey, I'm a part of the team and welcome for coming. It's one of the hardest hit areas in Atlanta, and we're going to be out there to put our arms around these people and say, hey, look, we just like you. We're not walking around here with no Rolexes on and this, that, and the other. We're down here. We're getting to it, and we want you to know that we're here. And again, we see you, and we're standing with you, and we're going to do it over the dinner table. We'll talk about your problems over the dinner table, and we're going to have clothing closet out there. We're going to have ministerial services, for people that desire prayer just to or change their lives or anything like that. We're not forcing that on anybody, but it's going to be there should you choose it. We're going to have barbers there. We're going to have, you got a lot of people sometimes that are out there on the street and haven't gotten cleaned up in a while. And hey, men and women, you go ahead and look like new money for the Christmas season, just that small token of a new hairdo or a new haircut, a new pair of shoes, something like that will lift the spirits. So that,
and we know that we know when we get a fresh haircut, when we get our ladies, I preached it all the time on this show. We're like a renewed person when we get a fresh haircut, get our nails or feet done, all of that kind of stuff. And the same with the guys. You know how you feel. That's how they feel. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in.
No, that's the truth. I mean, because when you can spruce yourself up, you feel a little better.
Yes.
And it just gives you that much more motivation to move on. It gives you that much more stick to itness to say, you know what, I can live to fight another day. And especially with a full stomach, you're like, oh man, I can take on the world.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that my pastor says, you can't feed a person's soul until you feed their stomach.
Right.
They
I can't hear you.
They can't hear you over a growling stomach. But they can hear
loud.
you if everything else has been fed. And so, yes, absolutely. I'm going to put Mary sharing this, where if you would like to volunteer, this is the link to go to volunteer. I would really prefer for people to go and volunteer and have hands-on and give monetarily if you are able to. But if you are not, please still go and give monetarily. You know what the money's going for. You will be able to visually see where the money is going for. And why not give back to our communities? We always complain, and we have a few minutes left. We always have complaints where people are like, well, our community ain't doing this, and who's going to do this for our community, and all of this. We talk about the negative, but we're not ready to get our hands dirty and sacrifice our time and being uncomfortable initially, because once you get out there, you get real comfortable. But who's going to do it if we don't do it? So let's do this. Let's join with Dare to Dream. They're going to be there December 17th from 10 p.m. to 6.
No, it's actually 10 a.m. Not 10
I'm sorry, 10 a.m. until, that's okay. 10 a.m. Oh, yeah, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Wow.
They will be at 200 Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard. That's Northwest Atlanta. If you are not able to make it, but you still want to donate some money and give some money, we have the d2jinc.org to give. So make sure we give. And Chef, I want to thank you so much for joining me on today and sharing this platform. There's so much more that I want to talk about, but that means you're going to have to come on the Style with Trysh TV show so we can talk about those things. That's all that.
One thing I did want to circle back around.
Go ahead.
The meals, the types of meals. So you wanted to talk a little bit about the meal selections. So when we talk about those meals, those things are kind of important because, you know, when you think about personal and private chefing, you're thinking about, oh, I want to eat something that's really not so good for me because I want to enjoy it. But we take care and concern to think about the different ailments that people have sometimes, you know, whether it be celiac disease, whether it be Crohn's disease, diabetes, hypertension, all of those things like that, vegan, vegetarian, all of those optional styles. There you go. All of those optional styles we service. We service all of those areas through our meal service. So if someone comes to us and say, hey, I have a particular diet that I would like to adhere to, we can make sure that that diet adheres to what their needs are. And we're well versed in those things. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
And it's so important. For me, I still have meals in my freezer which I ate off of today, because my appetite is I have a small appetite. I have to eat more small appetite or meals throughout the day. Whereas like my husband, he can eat the whole portion in one meal. And I'm just like, I'm stuffed. And so it is so worth the investment. I did a 6-week boot camp, and I didn't have to worry about my meals and cooking and all of that, and worrying about what I'm going to eat while I'm on this journey. And just doing the meal plan, and you put into play everything I could have, took away stuff I couldn't have. Me being a pescatarian, they kept saying protein, protein, protein. And I'm like, everybody else eat the stuff. I don't eat it. And so I had to make some adjustments, and you were willing to make those adjustments with me as well along the way. So it is just a great program. If you are in the Atlanta area and you are needing some assistance in your meals and your meal planning, I can attest to that part. He has an amazing plan. Price is right. And it helped me reach my first goal of weight loss. And so I just really think that was a wonderful program. I'm so glad that Britt connected me with you. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, I'm gonna have you on the TV show so that we can sit down and eat.
There you go. That's
you can actually sit down and eat
wait.
Stuff. Right.
Okay, wait.
Healthy stuff. But thank you so much. And once again, there's the link on the stream. There's a website which has all the information in the ticker, but then we also have the d2jinc.org to give if you are not able to volunteer. These dates, once again, is December 17th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you would like to volunteer, go to the volunteer at d2jinc.org. Thank you so much, Chef Jay, for hanging out.
Thank you so much for having us. We greatly appreciate you.
Absolutely. Much success on this weekend. All right. All right,
Absolutely.
guys. It's I didn't even get a chance to get into any commercials because he just had that much information. He just was that guy today. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Swagger Magazine, for allowing us to share this platform. Remember that Style with Trysh is on a hiatus. We are coming back March 20th, 23. So be on the lookout. Chef Jay will be there with us, hanging out with us on the TV show. So make sure you check us out. It's trishstanley.com. And we love you. We love you. We love you. Have a wonderful, safe holiday. We will not be back here on this platform until the new year. So you guys be safe. And we love you. As I always end each show, love isn't love unless you give it away. Give some love away today. Take care, guys.